Welcome, welcome. I hope you guys all enjoyed your Thanksgiving holiday and were able to enjoy time with your family and relax. My name is Cheryl Tolentino, and I'm a supervising prevention consultant of NJ4S. Welcome, welcome, and I'm hoping you're going to enjoy it because Shantice Brownridge, our prevention consultant, has created a lovely presentation regarding spending for the holidays and how to shop with ease and less stress. Shantice holds a master's degree in psychology. She recently graduated from Kane University. She is a proud wife and mother of two. Throughout her life, she has been deeply connected to teamwork and leadership, participating in track and fields, cheerleading, dance, softball, and gymnastics. Her passion for education led her to spending the last 7 years working in special education, a role that quickly became her calling. Alongside this, she also has had the privilege of coaching her local high school cheerleading team, where she has been able to inspire and guide young athletes. In the past year, she felt a strong pull to expand her work beyond the classroom, focusing on supporting children and helping parents navigate their journeys. Known for her hard work, dedication, and leadership, takes pride in being a source of encouragement and advice for those around her. She strives to give her all in every endeavor. She knows she has a strong, supportive team behind her, fueling her drive to make a difference. With no longer further ado, here is Shantice Brownridge for Spending for the Holidays.
Thank you, Cheryl. Really appreciate it. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you to those who work here who have joined, and thank you to my supportive team who also has joined. So today we're going to talk about spending for the holidays, shopping done with ease, right? So this is probably a lot of people's favorite time of year, but it can be done in a stressful way. You know, while shopping, you usually get excited, but then you also build on stress. So during my presentation, I'm going to give you guys some pointers on how to do it with ease so that way you can still enjoy it. All right. So I know a lot of times we also get stressed, we feel anxious, and we have burnout during this year. And throughout my presentation, I'm going to dive in to find ways that we can enjoy spending for the holidays without feeling a lot of pressure. We're going to talk about understanding holiday financial stress, budgeting for the holidays, shop therapy, healthy coping mechanisms, and some takeaways. When it comes to understanding holiday stress, we're going to talk about increased spending, right? So the extra expense can lead to debt, decreasing your savings. If you aren't a person who plans things in advance, it can really take a toll on you. Because of this, you might have to work longer hours at work just to make up for that extra money that you spent. Without carefully planning, these expenses can put a lot of stress on your finances to where you have to dip into your extra savings in other places just to make up for what we spent. So that can also lead to anxiety because you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get this money that I just spent? You know, a lot of times we're like, I didn't even have it, but somehow I pulled it off, right? So that's one way. Social expectations. Within social expectations, we usually look at what society talks about. I know a lot of us have social media, so we follow a lot of celebrities, or even if you don't, it could be on your Explore page and you're like, oh, such and such has just bought their daughter this gift. Or your child might be looking at your phone with you and you're like, mommy, this person bought this, I want that. So now you're driving yourself crazy trying to find those gifts. You go crazy because you're trying to keep up with what's going on now. Also, when it comes to gift giving pressures, a lot of us have children and you want to show your appreciation to their teachers. So you're going nuts trying to figure out what that teacher might like, you know. You're trying to do it in a secretive way, but you just want to really show your appreciation to where build a lot of pressure on yourself just to make sure you're finding that perfect gift. But what really is that perfect gift? And then with all of this, it ties into your mental health within anxiety. You know, you're driving yourself crazy. Some people end up in depression because they thought they did everything right, and then it ends up not being what that person may have wanted. I know a few of our coworkers, we've talked about things like this too. So it can tie into anxiety and depression, and it affects your mental health if you're not planning the right way, if you're not setting those limits for yourself. So I'm going to have a few scenarios that I want you guys to join into. A budget is a plan that you can physically write down, handwritten. You can write it in your notes, you can write it in your balance book, whatever it is. And it's for you to decide on how much you want to spend. So we have a quick little scenario, right? And it says you've set a $500 budget limit for holiday spending, but you find the perfect gift for your loved one that costs $150, what would you do? You A, stick to your budget and find something else. B, buy the gift and cut back in other areas. Or C, use your credit card and deal with it later. So ideally, we can do all of these, right? You can stick to your budget, find something else, of course. You can buy a gift and cut back in other areas. Or C, a typical, we can use our credit card and deal with it later. But if we are budgeting right now, our correct answer for this question is A. You would want to stick to your budget and find something else, right? Because that perfect gift to you might not be that perfect gift to somebody else. That $150, you can probably find something similar, just as close to what you bought for maybe $50, $60 less, you know? So while we're budgeting, we're gonna stick with A, because B, you can buy that gift and cut back in certain areas, but then you might not have that money in your limit for another loved one. And then C, we might end up with some debt later on. So let's take a look at budgeting for the holidays and why it's necessary. It's necessary because it can help you keep your finances under control. It shows where you can make adjustments to your spending, right? So if we're gonna set a holiday budget, you set a total amount that you're comfortable with, whether it's with gifts, it's your decorations, it's your food for the holidays. You specify how much you want to go towards each of those, and then that way you know you can stick to your limit, right? So while you're doing that, you track your expenses. You keep track of all these things that you plan on buying. You keep track of the stores that you want to hit, and then within that, you check off as you go. So you can use budgeting apps, you can use a spreadsheet. I personally like to handwrite things. I love to physically write it. If I write it, I feel like it sticks in my mind a lot better. And then as you're shopping, you cross off each item that you have bought in each store that you've hit. So that way you know, okay, I hit Target, I hit Walmart, I hit ShopRite. I think I got everything off my list. I'm done. You see how much you spent. If you're within that budget, you did a great job. You might even find out that you have a little bit extra money left over to where you can buy something else, right? And also, why is it necessary? Because it can help you prioritize your needs versus your wants. You know, we all feel like we need X, Y, and Z, but sometimes it's like, do you really? Or you might find something that you want for that moment, but is it going to be useful later on, right? So needs can include some purchases for your house, clothes, shoes, things for your kids, your maintenance on your car. So we want to make sure we hit all those points first. And your wants might be a certain type of gift. I'm not saying don't buy things that you want, because we all deserve it. But while doing it for the holidays, you just want to make sure you stay within that limit. Sometimes even buying gifts for people, you can consider doing homemade gifts. You know, sometimes those are more sentimental than going out and spending a lot of money that you necessarily didn't need. So I have another scenario for our needs versus wants. It says Jane and her husband are spending their first Christmas together in their new home. Jane wants to give her husband a meaningful gift, but she must choose between something he wants and something he needs. What should Jane do? Should she buy him those new suits that cost $500? Should she buy him the 85-inch TV that he's been wanting for $650? Or can she get a smaller gift and they save for the TV together? We can go with C. We can get him something smaller, and we can also save. So let's learn a little bit about some shop therapy, or what we might know as retail therapy, right? When you think of shop therapy or retail therapy, it's something that I feel like a lot of women might do, you know, because we use it to cope with negative emotions that lead to anxiety, depression, or loneliness. So if you're upset about maybe being in college, if you're upset about a grade that you thought you deserved, but you didn't necessarily get that, you might go out and buy yourself that coffee, that drink, go to the mall, go to the movies. You do a lot of those things just to satisfy yourself for that temporary moment. But in the long run, it'll have long-term effects, right? Because you do it once, you're like, okay, I paid it back quickly. Then you do it again. And then you end up finding yourself in debt, because like we see here, it says it's a short-term relief for a long-term impact. Shopping may provide temporary relief. It satisfied your needs for that quick little moment. But then later on, you're like, did I really need all of those things? Because when am I going to find time to use it, right? So it says shopping can satisfy your needs for a short period of time because you enjoy what you're buying. In the long run, you might end up having doubts. Brianna, on the flip side, I'm feeling great I like to spend more money. Yep. But then later on, you're sitting here and you're thinking, wow, I really just spent all of this. And now what am I doing later on? We're going to talk about shop therapy. And like I just stated before, it has a lot of negative effects. But now we can talk about how it can be done in a positive way, right? Because like I also said before, we do deserve a lot of things. You know, you work hard for your money. Since we're budgeting and we want to stick to it, focus on those thoughtful purchases. Think about the things that are sentimental, right? So things that you might find somebody that has meaning. You know, reflect on that person's interests. You can make it a social activity. So find friends who know you're trying to stick within your limits and ask them to come along with you. Hey, I need to go to the mall, but I'm only spending $250 while we're here. Help me. So while doing that, you guys can build in your conversation. They can also always say, Shantice, look, you already spent 200. You know, we got to cut it short, or we can save it for another day. Make it a social activity to where you have people that you can trust that knows that you want to stick with your budget. Also shop with a purpose. You know, look for things that can be used for a decent amount of time. Don't buy something that's just for a temporary moment. You know, somebody in your family, they might ask for new makeup, but you notice at home their toaster hasn't been working for a while. That's something that can last for a while. It's done with the purpose. You also thought about them, right? So you can also buy from companies that give back. My last scenario, shop therapy. Michael has been feeling overwhelmed with holiday preparations and decided to spend the afternoon shopping. He creates a list of gifts for his family and he sticks to it while enjoying the festive decorations and music throughout the mall. While shopping, he treats himself to a new scarf. He feels refreshed and accomplished by the end of his day. Can you tell me if Michael had a positive shopping therapy session or a negative shopping therapy session? Michael did have a positive therapy shopping experience because he stuck within his budgets. He enjoyed, he didn't feel stressed, overwhelmed, and he also still had enough money to buy himself something. Like he says, he felt accomplished by the end of his day. He didn't feel impulsive. You know, he took his time while shopping. He enjoyed his experience. So we have some coping mechanisms and healthy ways to manage holiday stress. So some ways we can do that, we can exercise. So while you're shopping for the holidays, use that time to walk around the mall, get your steps in, you know, because a lot of time we can just sit on our phones and just order everything quickly, but we can take the time walking, just window shopping, right? You can journal, you can prepare, write all those things down. Like I said, I like to handwrite everything. It just means more to me. It makes me take my time. It makes me write down those things. Do I really need it? Do I really want it? Then you check off as you go. You can connect with friends and family. So, you know, you may have a friend coming up for the holidays and you only have a couple days with them. Ask them to come to the mall with you while you shop. That might be that friend that keeps you within your budget. And then mindful spending. Is it important? Do you really need it? Stay within those limits. So just a quick takeaway. At the end of the holiday season, you realize you did spend more than you planned, and now you feel stressed about paying off debt. What's something that you can do differently for next year after learning some of my tips for holiday spending? We are still early in December, so you have some time. While you have time today, you know, you can start making your list. You can even just write down the stores that you may need, or write the stores down and then 3 or 4 people that you may have to get a gift from that store. Even if you need to, at the top, write down 500, 600, 1,000, whatever it is, you start there. I know this year I started early and I do feel accomplished. Are we ready for 2025? I hope so, because I'm ready for this new year. So let's cheers to a new year and to new budget planning. And also, thank you to everyone who has joined. Thank you to my friends and family from the outside who got the chance to see me in action. Those of you who do not really know what this job is about, you can click the link and you can learn more. And again, thank you all. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Shantice. That was a lovely, lovely presentation. A lot of helpful tips. I'm hoping that next week you'll join us. We'll be doing more information about spirituality and mental health and how they help us lift our mental health and how it is important in a lot of people's lives, and hopefully it can be helpful to you as well. So I'm hoping that you'll come by and join us for that webinar series presentation. But I'd like to thank you for your time, and I appreciate all of you. And please have a good week. Stay warm, and I'll see you next Monday.